Looking for a new switch to add to your network? Cisco Catalyst 1200 and 1300 switches offer a strong platform for commercial applications that's easy to deploy and manage. In this edition of Cisco Tech Talk, I'll explain some Catalyst 1200 and 1300 features and configurations. Next. I'll begin by covering the global LEDs on the switch. When the switch is powered on and performing self-tests or acquiring an IP address, the system LED lights flash steadily green. If the LED flashes amber, the switch has detected one of the following: a configuration file error, a hardware failure, or a firmware failure. The switch comes with the factory default IP address of 192.168.1.254 and a subnet mask of /24. When the switch is using this factory default IP address, the system LED continuously flashes. You will see a steady green when the switch is using a Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol (DHCP) server assigned IP address. This is typical since DHCP is enabled by default. If you have configured a static IP address, you will also see a steady green LED. The C1200 and C1300 switches provide a simple, intuitive dashboard that automates switch deployment, monitoring, and lifecycle management. A resource utilization graph, the system health display, and a brief overview of the RAM logs are easily accessible. Next, I'll walk you through the process of installing and managing your device. To get started, you need to log into the web user interface. Connect your computer to one of the switch ports with an Ethernet cable. Make sure everything is powered on. Your computer needs to be on the same IP subnet of the switch, any address from 192.168.1.2 to 192.168.1.253. If it is not, you will need to temporarily change the IP address on your computer from that IP pool. Open a web browser and enter the IP address of the switch, 192.168.1.254. This is the default address. When you first log into the switch, the username and password are both Cisco in all lowercase letters. After this initial login, you will have to change both the username and password. Once that is set, head to the Configuration Wizard section of the navigation pane. From here, you can configure the switch by using the various links and following the on-screen instructions. Let's run the Getting Started wizard. You can use the default hostname or create a new one. This screen can be used to generate a new IP address, the system's interface. Choosing None will keep the current settings. The system clock can be set using a simple network time protocol, SNTP server. Alternatively, the date and time can be imported from a local computer. Now you can move on to the VLAN setup wizard. Here, you can select the interface that will serve as your trunk interface. Port 9 will be used in this example since it is connected to my router. You can also use this panel to create a new VLAN. I'll designate VLAN 10 as admin. Port 9 will serve as the trunk port for untagged VLAN 10 traffic. VLAN 10 can also have access interfaces added to it. On this switch, I will choose ports 5 and 6. To examine the file management for the switch, navigate to Administration, File Management, and then Firmware Operations. A file management system application will organize and save the access files on your device. These system files include configuration data and the firmware image. Here, you can manage the firmware file that is used with the reboot, modify configuration files internally, and copy files to and from an external device. For this next feature, select Administration and then the System Logs section. Select Log Settings. By default, system logs are enabled. System logging allows a device to produce multiple independent logs. Each log is a collection of messages that describe system events. The ping utility is another useful feature of the switch. A ping test sees if a remote host can be reached and notes the round-trip time for each packet sent. Ping works by sending Internet Control Message Protocol, or ICMP, echo request packets to the target host. Once sent, it waits for an ICMP echo reply. When it is received, it calculates the round-trip time and records any packet loss. Power over Ethernet, or PoE, can be very beneficial on a switch. If you can power devices with the switch, it can eliminate expensive wiring, reduce the number of cables, and easily expand the network. The C1200 and C1300 series switches support IEEE 802.3az standards, IEEE 802.3bt PoE, and IEEE 802.3at PoE+, up to 30 watts per port. The PoE power allocation is dynamic, and power mapping scales up to a maximum of 740 watts of PoE plus power. Intelligent power management allows for flexible power allocation across all ports. With perpetual PoE, the PoE plus power is maintained during a switch reload. The last feature I want to highlight is web-based authentication. This feature provides a consistent interface to authenticate all types of host devices and operating systems, eliminating the complexity of deploying IEEE 802.1x clients on each endpoint. There you have it. This has been a quick overview of the Catalyst 1200 and 1300 switches. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.